Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured, why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description and every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say, I'm watching so-and-so show. And then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it. And that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 2, Episode 9, the Season 2 finale of Showtime's Yellowjackets, entitled Storytelling. This is an ironically named finale, as I feel like the episode title has been the show's biggest struggle this season. But I kind of like to look at the episode title as, like, look at all this storytelling y'all doing, like lying. Like, y'all telling stories, lying. Everybody's lying in this episode, and not in a good, intentional way. Like, you just have characters saying and doing things that aren't true and don't make sense multiple times throughout this episode. And it hurts me to say this because Season 1 was I think it was number 2, maybe number 3 at worst, show of 2021. But I'm not even sure I'm going to even watch another season of this show, let alone cover it here. That was an aggressively mediocre season of television that truly felt like a waste of time for significant portions. And I want to spend the vast majority of this video not like shitting on Yellowjackets, but like explaining why I've been shitting on Yellowjackets. Like, because I feel like this episode, this finale, had a lot of the things that have been going wrong all season. And I feel like a comparison to Season 1 is warranted here, just as a means to kind of defend my stance, because like early on, and I put this on the Facebook, Episode 5, I'm like, yo, this shit's not great right now. Like, it's looking pretty mid. And this is Episode 9, so we're talking 4 weeks ago plus the 1 week that the show took off. So 5 weeks ago, I was saying, yo, this season's not really working. And people looking like, yo, what the fuck, yo, this shit is still lit. And I'm like, but now here we are at the end of the season. And to me, just based on what I'm seeing, it looks like the prevailing opinion is that this season was trash. And now I want to get to a place where I kind of want to defend myself in the sense of like, here's why I've been saying this whole time that Season 2 isn't working, even while y'all have been telling me that it is. And then now y'all are in agreement with me. Y'all not being necessarily the viewers, but like the fandom as a whole. So Season 1, it felt like it was working towards something. How are these girls going to try to leave? How are they going to survive? Who's the person who dies at the beginning in that opening scene? What about the dead person, the dead guy in the cabin? Who is Adam? What is his meaning? What's going on with adult Taissa and all this sleepwalking? All of these really compelling mysteries, right? This season has just been shit happening in each timeline, with the mysteries either shitty or gone altogether. The adult timeline was absolutely terrible, with 2.5 entire episodes of wasted time. Gone are the compelling mysteries, and the ones that remain were given little attention. So, like, for example, Jackie's necklace from last season that we were following from person to person. All of us were really engaged in that. Oh, now Shauna's got it. Now so I'm on the videos like, oh, the update on the necklace. Here's what the necklace is. It's compelling and it's engaging. Gone / meaningless this season. as was the mystery of the person who died at the beginning of the series that was wearing the necklace that caused us to want to follow the necklace in the first place. They didn't entertain that at all. They didn't entertain the necklace didn't travel around at all. We didn't see it get moved until it ends up on Natalie at the when they were about to kill her before she sacrifices Javi. So like that was completely so that's just one example of something important from season 1 that was completely ignored in season 2. Javi turns out to be alive this season in a big, huge reveal, only to not say a fucking thing and then die again, only serving the purpose of alerting Ben of that hideout, which is likely where the girls are going to end up for at least a portion of next season. But man, what a fuck. Like, again, I'm talking about wasted time here. They brought Javi back and, like, not only did he not say shit, they had the characters in universe pretend like he wasn't even there for, like, a whole episode. So, like that was completely fucked. Misty and Shauna, probably the most compelling season 1 characters and most compelling season 1 arcs, easily given the 2 worst storylines this season. Adult Taissa didn't do shit. Is she even in politics anymore? They took Simone and Sammy off the show altogether. I bet y'all forgot Taissa even had a family because they swapped her family out for Van effortlessly. So like it's just so much shit, man. Like, all this is to say, this season failed because virtually none of the things that season 1 got right are present. And this season felt rushed and it felt bloated. And it's like they were told, you have X amount of weeks to write a second season. I need 9 episodes by this date. And that date was like 3 weeks away, not 3 months away or something like that. So they wrote out the bare bones that they already had planned for a second season and then just bloated it out to 9 episodes. That's what this felt like. Speaking of the 9 episodes, how shitty of a job did they do promoting that this was a 9-episode season and that this was going to be the finale? I didn't know this was the finale until Friday, until the day. I'm like, was it a 9-episode season? Where the fuck did this come from? They didn't even go, next week on the finale. Like, they didn't hype it up or nothing. Anyway, save for literally like 2 to 3 good moments, this entire season was an abject failure for me. And I thought this show and Ted Lasso would have it out for biggest disappointment. But it's starting to look like Ted Lasso is actually going to finish strong, and this did not. So it sucks to say it, and it sucks to be here. But barring something like Reservation Dogs or Industry returning and being shitty, this will easily and undoubtedly be the biggest disappointment of 2023 in television. So now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to get into talking about the adult storyline, then the wilderness storyline, and then we're going to wrap up this season, and we might be wrapping up One Mic coverage of Yellowjackets permanently. So, like I said, that's very much in the air. So the adult timeline of the episode opens with Shauna proposing that they give it a hunt like it wants. And immediately I'm just like, y'all telling storytelling. You're telling stories already right away. It never asked for no fucking hunts, Shauna. Y'all just did that. Like, Jackie wasn't hunted. She's dead. Javi wasn't hunted. He's dead. Crystal wasn't hunted. She's dead. Travis and Natalie, both hunted, both alive. What the fuck are you talking about, Shauna? But once Lottie leaves, Shauna says that this was essentially a stalling tactic to give them time to figure out what to do with Lottie. Now, I initially took this to mean that Shauna sending Lottie out to corral the guests and get them all out of the woods and shit was the stalling tactic, and they were going to figure out what to do with Lottie right then. But I think it turns out, in another example of questionable storytelling, that the entire hunt was the stall. And everyone except Natalie and Van planned on having Lottie committed during this hunt. So Natalie's argument against Lottie being committed is an interesting one. And if you're used to my coverage of the Yellowjackets by this point, you probably know when I say interesting that I mean that in a very negative way. Natalie says, she tried to get us to play Russian roulette with poison. We just can't have her committed and leave. I don't know why you said those words as if they're reasons to not commit someone when they're reasons to commit someone. That's exactly what you should be doing when someone tries to poison you. Like, what do you mean we can't just commit her and leave? Like, you gave a reason to commit someone. Like, she thinks that we're being haunted by something supernatural and she tried to get us to play Russian roulette with poison. The second half of that sentence should be, we need to commit this motherfucker, not we can't just commit her and leave. That's exactly what you should do. Anyway, they split up and start on whatever this is. I wouldn't call it a plan. But Misty heads off to Lottie's office. She finds her phone, and she also finds Walter, who has returned to the cult compound. And I said last week that I thought Walter was trying to help her and not betray her. Turns out I was right. That's what's happening here. He had Kevin and his partner come out. He poisons Kevin, then sets up the partner to say that one of them can take the fall for Adam. Van and Ty continue to argue over what the best option is, therapy or Hunt. Like, how is that? It's like, what's the best option? Sex or suicide? Like, what do you need, therapy or Hunt? Anyway, which is the only discussion. That's only discussion in a world where you believe there's some supernatural shit going on. Otherwise, Hunt is definitely the lesser of the two options. Jeff and Callie returned to the cult as well after having left. Don't worry about how they got there because the show wasn't worried about that. They left and they just appeared. They just reappeared. And Jeff conveniently runs into Kevin. And I'm gonna say right now, I think you all underestimated just how convenient that meeting was. But because again, like what? So I'm just gonna play it out for you. Jeff and Callie pull up in a car. Cult people start coming out. They're like, yo, fuck this. This looks weird. And they drive away. Kevin and partner pull up. They go inside. Next time we see Jeff, he's in the fucking room, with the fucking kitchen with Kevin. I'm not even gonna say nothing. Anyway, so Kevin falls out unconscious because in a scene prior, Walter had very obviously given him coffee that had something in it. And at least I thought Kevin passed out because this episode I thought was very fast and loose with what the fuck was happening regarding poisoning. And I think that was a huge issue that really hurt this episode. I want to talk about it here. So at first, I knew something was in Kevin's cup. It was real fucking obvious in the scene. I was watching. No, I wasn't. I put it in my notes. But I put something like, there's obviously going to be something in that cup. So when Kevin passes out, I assumed that's what happened, that he passed out. I looked up what Walter gave him. I don't recall the name of it. I didn't put it in my notes. But whatever the term that Walter used when he was speaking to Jeff, I looked up that drug. And it seems to be a sedative that's given to people who have seizures. Like, apparently it can help prevent seizures from happening. So, yeah, I looked this up. I'm not thinking like, oh, that he just killed Kevin. I'm thinking he just passed out. Hell, even if that drink killed him, the scene didn't play like Walter just killed a cop. Like, it didn't play out like that. Then they stuff him in the trunk of the car. And later, when the partner arrives and is trying to get into the to the car, Walter runs up, pops the truck, and shoots into the trunk. And I'm just like, wait, did he just kill a cop like it was nothing and then blackmail the partner effortlessly on a whim? And then also, did the partner respond to Kevin being shot like someone whose profession was police officer? Because that's not what the fuck I saw. Like, the authenticity has not been this show's strong suit this season. And his reaction to watching a stranger run up and put like 4 bullets into his partner was not the reaction that a police officer would have. But when later, when Misty injects Natalie, this is where I think why this was fucked up. When Misty injects Natalie, again, I assume it was with the same sedative that Walter injected Kevin with. And again, I didn't think it killed Kevin because Walter later ran up and shot him. So I figured that's what killed Kevin. Why would you run up and shoot him if the sedative had already killed him? But then everyone starts acting as if Natalie was dying, and I'm like, well, I didn't see a label on what she was just injected with, and it's the same stuff Walter used. It didn't kill Kevin. Why would it kill Natalie? But even then, like, all of the time spent thinking about it, like, what was that? It didn't kill Kevin. What was Kevin poison? Like, all of that shouldn't have happened. Like, I should have immediately, when the syringe goes in, I should have been like, oh, fuck, that killed Natalie. And they didn't do the work to let me know that in that moment that I should have went, oh, shit, Natalie just got killed by accident. There was way too many questions and way too much confusion because they were fast and loose with what the fuck happened with Kevin. And that's the fucking problem with this show. They haven't written shit well. And so now a moment that was supposed to be one of the most tragic and emotionally jarring moments of the series didn't work at all for me because I didn't know instantly that Natalie was gonna die. And I didn't know that because they were ambiguous with what the fuck they were doing with the poisons and with the needles and whatever, the injections, sedatives, whatever the fuck Kevin getting shot, all of it was too much, and it made me have to think in that moment about what was happening. If I gotta think about it, you've lost the emotional connection to the death. And that's where they fucked up. I later read an article that says the laced coffee is what killed Kevin, but like I said, what I read about that drug made it sound like a sedative, and then Walter shot Kevin too, so that doesn't make sense. Unless that was just for performance, for show, the shooting of Kevin. At the same time, though, that same article said that Travis eating Javi's heart was plausible, so I don't know what the fuck to make out of that article. That article could very clearly be wrong because Travis eating Javi's heart was not at all plausible to me. So anyway, when Natalie's injected, like I said, I was still in a place of I don't even know what that is to know what to expect as a result. So Natalie's death had way less of an impact with me than it should have. But let me backtrack and talk about the end of the adult timeline. So 32 minutes into the episode, the women... So at this point, we are 32 minutes into the episode. The women arrived at Lottie's compound at the end of episode 6. 32 minutes into episode 9, we finally start the actual culmination of this reunion. I just don't know if I've ever seen a more blatant and obvious stall in all of television ever. Like, even right down to Lottie going, "It's time, yes?" And then the scene cuts back to the wilderness. Like, I guess it isn't fucking time yet, is it, Lottie? We gotta drag this out for even another scene. Like, it felt like they were trolling me. Like, it's time, yes? Nope, it's not time. We're gonna cut to something else. Like, it's amazing. They finally start the process, and my immediate thought is that Van already has terminal cancer. So if it doesn't choose Van, then it is a real fucking asshole. And it doesn't. Shauna draws the queen, and all of a sudden is like, "Y'all ain't really doing this, right?" And I'm just like, she must have been watching a different show than the show that I'm watching, because the show that I'm watching, I just heard Shauna suggest this idea 25 minutes ago. So, I don't know. But Callie comes to save her, and she shoots Lottie, and Shauna's like, "Callie, no, you can put the gun down." And I'm just like, wow, Shauna's really shitting on the idea of having her life saved, which she was just about to be killed 25 seconds ago. Whatever. Making sense of character behavior on this show this season is a lost fucking cause. Or it was a lost fucking cause. So much character behavior that didn't make sense this season. So much. Moving on to the wilderness plotline. The wilderness stuff was tough for me to watch this week. Not because it was violent or anything, but just because it's really hard for me to watch characters behave in a way that I don't think real people would behave in that scenario. I'll readily admit that this is entirely subjective. You guys might watch the same stuff and have no problem with it. According to the comments, you have. But maybe you do the same, or you know someone who would, so it doesn't feel implausible to you because you're like, I do that, or, I know somebody who do that. But for me, whether I'm right or wrong about it, I just can't get past it. Like, if I watch something and go, no reasonable person would do that in that situation, your show or movie is fucked because I can no longer take you seriously. And that's what I felt like I had to deal with for the entirety of the wilderness portion of this episode. Like, the wilderness plot opens with the girls returning with Javi and Natalie telling Travis that the wilderness chose. And I was like, more storytelling. The wilderness, they chose, you did. And she cops to that. Not to Travis, but she cops to that by the end of the episode. So she knew she was lying at that moment. I did like both the scenes of Shauna preparing Javi's body. Like, the scenes were almost played as if something beautiful was about to happen. Like the first one. Like, the first one was like, she's running her hands gently across his body. The knife gently across his body. Like, it almost looks artful. The way it looks like she's about to carve him up and serve like the most fucking phenomenal fucking delicacy. But then that's juxtaposed with the brutality of the scene that Coach Ben sees when he returns. And I thought that was just really well done. Like, the beauty of the start versus the brutality of the end. But Misty tells Lottie what happened with Javi, and Lottie's like, "Oh, that's not what I wanted." Bitch, what the fuck you mean that's not what you wanted? But then, for once this season, the show has a character respond in the obvious and correct way that they should when someone says a completely ludicrous statement like, "That's not what I wanted." Misty says, "You started this and it's done, and you better not start making people feel bad about it now." I said, "God damn you, Misty, you know what the fuck you talking about." That's right, Misty. Finally, someone on this show doing or saying the appropriate thing. I like that. And then the show turns right around and has a character do the complete opposite and behave in the most implausible way possible. So Van says this wild statement to Travis. Let your brother save you, Travis. After everything he went through, don't you at least owe him that? And I'm just like, yo, Van is a sick motherfucker because that's some wild rationalization for why that man should eat his own brother. But I guess it wasn't wild enough because when we return to the cabin, Travis takes a bite out of his brother's raw heart while standing right next to a hot skillet. He knew it was hot because he threw the heart in there right after he took the bite and it started sizzling. He knew it was a hot skillet. He ate it raw for no fucking reason. It's bad enough he didn't cook it first since he was standing right next to a hot skillet. But I just can't accept that a guy would eat his brother to live, especially with all of those other bodies to choose from. All of the motherfuckers that are the reason he's dead, just as edible as him. So don't tell me the wilderness chose my brother after you let him die for a second time, mind you, and then expect me to eat him. Like, that really fucked the episode for me. And I ended last week like, well, I guess Travis is going to have to find something else to eat. But no, here he is biting the most unappetizing part of his brother, well, maybe the second most unappetizing part of his brother, completely raw, while the women who killed him are sitting there looking like pheasants and quails and all other manner of luxurious fucking foods. And if I'm Travis, I'm killing anyone that had anything to do with my brother's death while they sleep, and all the rest of us are gonna feast on them motherfuckers for however long. But I also understand that what should happen isn't necessarily the most compelling turn of events for the show, and you don't get to continue a season. Like, I feel like if Travis does what makes sense, the show is over. For the most part. But Travis does what doesn't make sense and eats his brother's heart, takes a bite and walks off like it's a fucking apple. Like, I'd rather die. Like, I'm not gonna, like, if my options are eat your brother or die, I'm just be like, oh, fuck it, I'll die. Like, I'm not gonna eat my brother. Like, what the fuck? And they really made it sound like that was plausible. Like, I feel like most people would rather die than eat their sibling, eat their heart, which Travis did voluntarily. He could have ate any part. Eat the heart. And then again, also, for me, the biggest problem, why would you not eat the people responsible for killing them? Y'all all go to sleep, wake up in the middle of the night, kill the people who are responsible for your brother, and then eat them. But anyway. Van then starts to tell the story of them, because apparently they wanted Van to be fucking Dr. fucking Seuss and tell them a story, which I assume is the actual basis for the storytelling episode title and not what I said. But Lottie immediately interrupts, which was hilarious to me, to say that she never wanted to be in charge and thinks that she's no longer needed since they can be crazy on their own without her. And she says they need a new leader, and she chooses Natalie because they tried to kill her and it wouldn't let them. And then they start kissing Natalie's hand like she's the goddamn godfather or some shit, because I guess that's what the ritual is that they made up in that moment. And it's all just kind of just like, all right, whatever. Just end the fucking episode. Like, the season sucked. It's over. Fuck it. But I do have a couple more thoughts. So I want to talk about the things that we're not going to talk about. So here's what we're not going to talk about. We're not going to talk about why Kevin's partner was randomly in the fucking woods. Hell, why all the people who are randomly in the fucking woods were in the woods. Kevin's partner, Forkface, Callie, that was all super convenient how they were all in the woods at the same time, within close enough a proximity to find each other at the convenient moments when it was needed. We ain't gonna talk about that though. We're also not gonna talk about how the partner asked to see Callie's hands when he ran into her and she had a gun behind her back. He's like, let me see your hands. She doesn't show him. And then when he decides to go after Kevin, he runs right past her and doesn't look behind him to see the gun behind her hands. We're not going to talk about that. We're also not going to talk about that weird vision that Natalie had as she was dying, that at first featured already dead Javi and presently dying her, but then inserted presently alive Lottie, so now I can't make sense of why these particular people are here. Not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how Lottie seemingly told Van that it cured her cancer since they gave it Natalie, when giving it Van would have been two birds, one stone. We're not going to talk about that because like you got someone that's dying and you need someone to be sacrificed. Van makes that work, but no, I mean, have it be Natalie and then yeah, do whatever the fuck. And then lastly, we're not going to talk about how the cabin only collapsed once everyone was safely out of it and not a moment before or later. So that's my thoughts on Yellowjackets Season 2, Yellowjackets Season 2 finale. Finale was mediocre at best. Season was mediocre at best. Closer to bad than mediocre, I'd say. But I'd be comfortable with mediocre. Season 3 coverage is almost for certain not going to happen. I will, assuming Season 3 happens, I will definitely watch it. Or at least start it. Like, I'll start to watch it. Like, if I watch, like, 1 or 2 episodes and I'm like, okay, we on the same shit Season 2 is on, I'm out. But if it's like, you know, if they turn a corner, they recover, and it becomes more compelling, whatever, I'll watch Season 3. I might even start covering it if it you know, plays out well enough. But as of right now, the plan is to not cover it. And, yeah, I don't know. This show, I don't know if I've seen a bigger fall from grace than the one this show has had. So I will probably not see you guys for Season 3, but if I do, till then, peace.